Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a Christmas card using the My Snowman stamp set from Hello Bluebird and the rippled background from My Favorite Things, which is a newer released background stamp which I truly adore. Lately I'm into those backgrounds from My Favorite Things. I think they are amazing. You can make some really simple cast cards or just add some interest to your background if you want to, which I'm doing today. Now, to stamp that background out, it's rubber, red rubber, it's mounted already, so you need to take out that foam from your MISTI or your stamping tool that you have. I want to keep the stitching details that I have on this panel, that's why I'm adding this amount of purple tape all around. And I wanted to create some grounding, a place where I wouldn't have that background stamp and the ink blending that I will do later on. So the bottom purple tape thingy is way higher than just the stitching details to give me some room to add my images later on. Now I'm extensively using my anti-static powder tool here. I said it many times before, heat embossing. Truly, it's not my thing. Well, doing it again with the anti-static powder tool here to make sure that it will not stick everywhere, those embossing powders. But again, it's not my thing. I love what the effect is. I truly do, but I most often stamp it out wrongly or not enough or things like that. Or it's not melted enough and I started ink blending. Well, you know, many things can go wrong with heat embossing, but the result can be incredible. So doing it today to do some emboss resist ink blending later on. Now I did that. Now using the purple tape to avoid having those stitching details being not white actually doesn't help with the anti-static because, well, it's the stickiness of the purple tape that can still be there. I will clean up those edges using a paintbrush. I did leave the bottom half because that was a really huge area and I was hoping to keep that purple tape in place just until I had ink blended everything, but then later on with the melting of the embossing powder, I decided to remove the purple tape halfway because, well, I have no reason. Yes, because there is embossing powder on top, because there is an overlap on the edge of the purple tape. Yeah, multiple reasons. But I did it halfway when I could grab the panel on the other side. It was already melted, just to avoid having to pour on that embossing powder and get rid of it on places where it had to be and stuff like that. So heat setting the panel first on the back. Some people say that it helps. I'm just following them. And it also should normally help with the curling of the paper. Also the heat embossing tool, you can best just set it aside and let it heat up before bringing it to your panel. This way you can go over it really quickly and hopefully have less bulking and stuff like that. So once everything is smooth and melted, I am going to add some purple tape again to be able to do some ink blending. Now again, trying to line this panel up with my craft mat to help me with that grounding, finding it again so that it's straight, and then covering the rest of the edges. And then of course we will take our distress inks, my mini distress ink cubes. I love them. I love the results with distress inks. Of course there are also other inks that will work perfectly. So just take whatever you have on hand. I wanted to make a dark blue but soft background, and I just love Stormy Sky. It's a really soft, darker blue, and when I try to have a soft but dark background, it's one of those colors that always return for me because it's just perfect. So I'm starting with the chipped sapphire. It's the darkest color. I'm going to use one blending brush to help me get this gradient going on. And as you can see, the embossing that we did is resisting the ink. It can always be that there is still a residue of the ink on top of the melted embossing powder, but before I continue with the images, I'm going to buff it off with a paper cloth. So you can still get rid of it, no issues with that. Just building up, going back and forth until I like the blend. Although I must say, if you use a background like this, that is a bit edgy, it's not always straight and stuff, it actually gives you more room to have a less perfect blend, if you want to call it like that. It will stand out less. Now, also added some black soot on the top to really get that intense dark gradient idea. And now I'm buffing off with a paper towel the excess inks that might be on top of the embossing powder. I'm gonna remove my purple tape, and I just love revealing things like this. My lovely white stitching edge and then the grounding. So having that, I'm now going to continue with the images and the sentiment. I'm using this adorable My Snowman stamp set from Hello Bluebird. I only used it once and it was a no-line coloring card that, if I remember, I will link to it in the description box. But it's so adorable. And at the time that I did the other card, I didn't use the girl because I was still afraid of doing humans or human kind of thingies. But as I said in the past, I have been coloring more and more hair, which was the main reason of trying to avoid it as much as possible. And I feel more comfortable lately to do hair. Now, skin and hair, those are the things where I struggle the most with. So it's most of the time also the thing where I start with, just in case I fail and I cannot fix it in any way, then I just can restamp it and start all over again before I have everything colored in except for those parts and fail at that stage. You know, it's just, yeah. So I'm doing some flicking. That's what I try to do. First starting with my darkest, that's just how I color, but you can start however you want. And I'm sort of following the lines, which is in this case for this image quite simple. I must admit there are several lines for the hair and you can follow them and just get it filled in. Now I'm onto my second color. I'm again flicking, starting at the same point as I started before, but this time I'm flicking a bit further so that more of the hair will be colored in. Now I'm going to use 3 colors. Also, if you're curious to see the color combination and you don't want to rewatch this video because I'm showing the caps once I switch, you can always go to my blog post, and there I have everything listed for each part of the images that were crucial for you to be able to find those combinations that you might like. So onto my second layer. This is Transotype Perfect Coloring Paper. Personally, I find that I need at least 2 layers to really like the blending, for example, except sometimes with smaller parts. But 2 layers. For the hair as well, it darkens it a bit more. So if you want to have really light, soft hair, I suggest just do 1 layer if you're happy with that. And if you need 3, 4, 5, just do it. Go for it until you're happy with the blend, with the end result of your coloring. So I'm also reusing the same brown combination on the shoes, as you can see. It's something that you will see in all of my videos. I'm trying to reuse the same colors. Also these images, the red color combination, the blue color combination, it's for the snowman and the girl exactly the same color combination. I like it. It fits. The colors go together. The red is the same red, the blue is the same blue. I think it makes it look a bit more simple, but I like that. And also I don't have to doubt whether those colors go together or not, or whether another combination is going with the same color family but the other combination that I already used. So that helps me. But of course there are many ways to color these images in. And well, it's just super cute. I love this stamp set. Also, the images are quite large. There is also a cat and a dog that are truly adorable in this set. And I love just the fact that these 2 images will be big enough to fill a whole card, and then you have the Let It Snow stamp set with dice in this stamp. It's just fabulous. I love it. So again, onto my second layer, and I'm going a bit further with those shadows wherever I can. The first layer is often really subtle because it's easier to add your darker color than to remove it when you add it too much. So that's why I tend to have a small shadow in the beginning, and then my second layer, I know how much space is left to add maybe a bit more. Here I'm using the number 0, which is a colorless blender. You don't need to have it, but I am always going outside the line somewhere. And this really is the tool to fix the mistakes that you might have, or if you don't like a color combination, you can try to just remove it by using the colorless blender. And I just need it on every card that I'm making. I think almost on every video you are seeing that blender. It was also a marker that I had from the start because I bought the warm grays, and it was a package of 12 including the blender, and really without it I am lost. I cannot do copy coloring because I cannot fix it. So it was also the first refill that I ever bought for my Copic markers, and I will almost have to buy a second one. Actually, it's crazy, but I need it. So I can only I can only advertise it that it's really super handy to have it along your markers, the colorless blender. So I'm almost ready with the girl. Isn't she adorable? And this blue, I think it goes really well with the combination that we did on the background. It's also a really soft blue combination. It's the B99, 97, 95 and 93. So really close towards each other, which is not always the reason why a combination works. But in this case, it's truly one of my favorite blue combinations. Now for the snowman, we are going to do some flicking. I'm using B00 and B000, so 2 and 3 zeros. Why? Because it's a lovely color. It gives you a bit extra. I'm not going to color the snowman completely, so I traced the edges, I did a bit of flicking, and now I'm going again at the same area using the lighter marker, flicking again, so that there is a nice transition towards the white area. And I'm not going to do the left side. You can do it if you want to, but I actually already like the shadowing that I got by doing this on the right side, and just using the area where the back is facing towards to do the shadowing. So the girl is facing towards the right, so the back to the left, and on the left there you have the shadowing. The snowman is facing towards the left, so on the right side we have the back, so that means that I am adding the shadows on the right side. Here doing the same as on the head, I'm just adding that edge, flicking, and then flicking further with the lighter marker. And truly, honestly, I think this looks like snow. Snow isn't white if you have a light source. There is also always like a hint of color that you can see, and this is my shadowing. A really soft blue combination. And then I'm onto the reds and the blues again. Exactly the same combination as previously. The areas are a bit smaller sometimes, so I did not need everywhere 3 color combinations, but I did use them all again. And I'm working my way through those markers, through those details of the snowman. Trying to not go outside the lines, because the red truly is a pain to, even with your colorless blender, it's one of the hardest color families to get rid of if you're going outside the lines. And also I really like the shadow on the snow from the snowman. So once I went outside the lines with the reds into the snowman, his face or belly, it would have been a pain to fix, and then all the efforts of the lighter area of the blue would have been for nothing. So I was really careful. I took my time to really trace those edges and trying not to go outside of them. And then I decided to add some blues to the snowman. Now, I first had taken some warm grays to do the head, and then while I was doing the scarf, I was thinking, just why not use that blue again instead of using a gray that we never used on this coloring part. So keeping it really simple by reusing color combinations. Also, if you check out my blog post to see the combinations, you will see that for this card I have 5 combinations in total, which isn't a lot, and it truly means that even with a limited amount of markers, you can already do really a lot. So just in case, we all have to start somewhere, and one day I want to have all Copic markers, but for now I already have a lot. I must admit, I'm building up slowly the amount of markers, and you can do so much with just a few spectacular combinations that you really love. So that's what I'm doing. Got everything out using the matching dies, and now I'm trying to get that layout going on. I knew that I wanted to use these, and I think it's sort of clear where the snowman or the girl should go, but then the sentiment. And once I was happy, I just took some present seal and I made sure to not lose the positioning of these images. But to let it snow, I must admit, it was the hardest thing to get right. And then present seal. Really handy. I bought it on Amazon. If you're living in Europe, I bought it on Amazon. I searched for it a really long time, and then Julia from Craft Room Adventures told me that she got it from Amazon, and well, I ordered straight away. So now that everything is in place, I'm going to add some thin foam squares on everything except the snow, and on the snow I will add some liquid glue. And once all the backings are removed, I can add everything all at once to this panel and have placement exactly how I want it to be. Just taking my time, positioning it, and then pressing everything down. Once I think I've pressed enough, I can remove that present seal, and that is going to be my panel. Oh, I love it. I love this stamp set. I truly think it's so adorable. Then I'm going to add it to a card base, just using an adhesive roller. And once it's on top of it, I am going to finish this card using some, well, simply white crystal drops, also some glossy accents, and that will be it. So really subtle details. I love adding some glossy accents to those buttons. I also love adding this simply white NUVO crystal drops to like those details on mittens, on hats, on scarves. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm fixing some of my mistakes where I went outside the lines or where I didn't have it completely right, just using some sort of a needle to help me get into those tiny corners. And then this card will be finished. So this is my Christmas card for today. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video and that you like the end result. If you do, you can always give this one a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. See you then. Bye!